And that has to do with number two. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I don't even know. So number three is stop perfectionism. And I had to make sure that I say that. I was going to say, I have to make sure I say that. I said that perfectly and I completely messed it up, but I'm going to leave that in. So stop perfectionism. It is killing you. It is killing your life. It is killing your enjoyment of life. It is destroying your peace because introverts want everything to be lined up exactly with that internal processing, with how they subjectively see how things should be. And that's what introversion is, right? It is this constantly lining up, this constant processing to line up this certain kind of information that you see as important. And whenever anything that is the opposite of that enters into your world, you get very stressed and you don't like it because it's taking you out of your center. And this can just completely destroy your peace, right? And you get stressed. Other people don't understand why, because it's not a problem for them. Maybe they're an introvert, but they're not the kind of introvert you are. But the problem is that nothing is ever going to line up specifically with how you believe things should be. And you're going to be managing all of those things outside of yourself, juggling all these things, trying to get them to line up and push them back into that center that is your center. But that's not the way that the world works. And you're going to drive yourself crazy when things don't line up with it instead of accepting it and maybe even exploring that difference. You have to be okay with that chaos that comes from the outside world. It's going to happen. It's going to affect you. And listen, I've done this. Like I said, I'm a severe introvert as well. And my kind of introversion is having this kind of subjective future forecast, and I'm always living in the future. And so everything that I'm doing in the present is kind of making sure everything is lining up in the present now so that I don't have to deal with it in the future. And when something happens in the present, it's a complete surprise, complete shock that I didn't see it. And I get so annoyed with it. I tried to have the perfect day. I was going to wake up. I was going to get the house tidied up. I have all my errands ready to go. I have the route that I'm going to take, the quickest route. I'll arrive at this little place to get some food at 10:45, and I'll be back home at 11 o'clock, right at lunchtime. And I'm going to watch this show. And it was going to be the perfect day. And so I cleaned the house and I take off, do my errands, and right away I run into a detour and I'm so annoyed because the detour is going to send me on this crazy route. I'm like, where is this thing going? And I'm getting so annoyed because my day is getting away from me. This wasn't how I planned it. But I'm going to, kind of calm down. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And then I go to pay this bill and the store is not open. And great. Now I'm going to have to do this tomorrow. I was trying to get it all done in one day. It's just kind of, see, all my plans are just getting all messed up. So I got done with all of that. I'm late to getting my lunch. I get back home. It's like 12:30. Fine. You know what? I'm going to forget all about it. I'm going to make a cup of coffee and put on my show. And I start going to get a sip from my coffee and my dog barks like just crazy out the window, and I jump, and of course I get coffee all over myself. And I was so aggravated, but I had to think for a second. I'm like, you know what? I think this is just the universe telling me to chill out. Like you're trying to make everything so perfect, and everything that gets out of line, you're so annoyed, and you just need to laugh at yourself. Of course my dog's going to bark and I'm going to jump and spill coffee on my shirt, and of course that's going to happen. And I can either laugh at it, or I can get upset. I can be annoyed. And what's that going to do? It doesn't change anything. And I just have to accept that there's going to be chaos around me. There's things I can't plan for. And yeah, sure, it's annoying, of course, but I need to learn to laugh when things don't happen the way I think they should, and accept that things aren't in my control and they can't perfectly align with how I think they should be. And that goes for people. People aren't going to do what I think they should. You know what? Of course they're not. They're their own person. They're not going to do what I think they should. And they're not going to see things the way I think that they should, because they're not me. And that's why there's a discussion. That's why there's a tribe. And you know what? I'm not always right either. That's a big thing to understand. Your perfectionism isn't always right. You need those other people to come and tell you and go, hey, are you sure you're thinking about this the right way? You're so far future thinking that you didn't stop to think about, we did that already, remember? And it didn't work. They tried that a long time ago. Like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know about that. Oh, well, I guess maybe I should have done more research. I just kind of thought I knew. And I'm glad that there's people around me to point those things out. And again, that doesn't mean that they're not wrong, and maybe they should come out of their way of thinking and listen to what I'm saying. And maybe, the Titanic wouldn't have hit the iceberg if they had listened. But anyway. And it's not going to line up perfectly with how I think it should be. And I need to be okay with that. I need to learn to be okay with that and stop stressing about it, because that stress will never end. That is never ending stress, and you'll never have peace. You'll never have peace. So, well, I guess there is one way you could have peace, and that has to do with number 2. Well, I guess there is one way to have some peace, and that has to do with the second, and that has to do with number 2 of the 5, and that has to do with number 2 of the 5 things, and that has to do with number 2 of the 5 things, and that has to do with number 2 of the 5 habits for all introverts. And that has to do with number 2. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I don't even know. I've totally forgotten what I was trying to say. See, and this is also why I don't use scripts or notes, because I'm forcing myself to just be okay with talking. And it doesn't always go right. I find it very difficult. See, and I keep looking away from the camera. I think if I could, I would just sit here and just like stare while I'm talking. So it's not that I'm looking away or looking down. It's actually that I'm trying to remember to look up. And I just keep forgetting. I keep trying to focus. But you know what? I've just learned to let it go and let it be what it's going to be. So thanks for watching. We'll see you over in number 2.